The Battle of Midway was a decisive naval battle in the Pacific theater of World War II that took place between June 4th and 7th of 1942, only 6 months after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor and 1 month after the Battle of Coral Sea. The United States Navy, under Admirals Chester Nimitz, Frank Jack Fletcher, and Raymond Esperance, defeated an attacking fleet of the Imperial Japanese Navy under Admirals Ashiroku Yamamoto, Chunchi Nagumo, and Nobote Kondo near Midway Atoll, inflicting devastating damage on the Japanese fleet that proved to be irreparable. Military historian John Ketter called it the most stunning and decisive blow in the history of naval warfare. This also turned the tide of the war towards the side of the U.S. and Britain in the fight against the Japanese and the Germans. Battle of Coral Sea, fought from May 4th to May 8th of 1942, was a major naval battle between the Imperial Japanese Navy and the Air Forces of the United States and Australia, taking place in the Pacific theater of World War II. The battle is historically significant as the first action in which aircraft carriers engaged each other, as well as the first in which the opposing ships neither sighted nor fired directly upon one another. Also, in an attempt to strengthen their defensive position in the South Pacific, the Japanese decided to invade and occupy Port Moresby in New Guinea and Tulungai in the southern Solomon Islands. The plan to accomplish this was called Operation MO and involved several major units of Japan's combined fleet. These included 2 fleet carriers and a light carrier to provide air cover for the invasion forces. It was under the overall command of Japanese Admiral Shingichi Inoue. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a surprise military strike by the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service against the United States Naval Base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. On Sunday in the morning of December 7th, 1941, the attack, also known as the Battle of Pearl Harbor, led to the United States' formal entry into World War II. The Japanese military leadership referred to the attack as Hawaii Operation and Operation AI as Operation C during its planning. Also, Japan intended the attack as a primitive action to keep the U.S. Pacific Fleet from interfering with its planned military actions in Southeast Asia against overseas territories of the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and the United States. Also, over the course of 7 hours, they coordinated Japanese attack on the U.S.-held Philippines, Guam, Wake Island, and on the British Empire in Malaya, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Additionally, from the Japanese viewpoint, it was seen as a preemptive strike, and it was either this or to keep the U.S. out of the war. The Guadalcanal campaign, also known as the Battle of Guadalcanal and codenamed Operation Watchtower by American forces, was a military campaign fought between August 7th of 1942 and February 9th of 1943 on the island of Guadalcanal in the Pacific theater during World War II. This was the first major offensive by the Allied forces against the Empire of Japan. Also, on August 7th of 1942, the Allied forces preliminarily landed on Guadalcanal and started their attack with an objective of denying the Japanese that were trying to threaten the Allied supply and communication routes between the United States, Australia, and New Zealand. Powerful American and Australian naval forces supported these landings. The Allies also intended to use Guadalcanal and Tugalai as bases in supporting campaigns to eventually capture or neutralize the major Japanese battles of Atoll or New Britain.